Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
It's not the greatest country in the world.
Finally, really did it. You maniac! I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore! He'll bring them death, and they will love him for it.
I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Recovery from Politics Podcast. I am your host, Kyle Freeman. Today is Sunday, the 1st of March, 2026. So things have occurred since yesterday. We now know that the Ayatollah of Iran, Al Khamenei, has been killed. His successor has been named already, although I haven't seen exactly what that name is or who he is. So apparently they do have a succession model over there, so it won't be an immediate Iranian Republican Guard takeover, which I don't know is good or not at this time. We don't know who this new Ayatollah is, whether or not he has the levers of power at his grasp to really control the situation, or whether he's a puppet. We don't know. I don't know. What I do know is that there was a bombing yesterday. We were trying to target Ahmadinejad. He was the previous president, mostly under Obama, and we were targeting him, and we missed, and instead we hit a girls' school that was inhabited at the time, and as of right now, at 9:20 a.m., the death toll is reportedly rises to almost 150 dead. School children. Girls, little girls. We killed them to get one guy because we missed. And some people will say that's the cost of doing business. That's the price of war. And I would argue, no. This war was discretionary. It was choosable. It was something we didn't have to do. Iran is doing the obvious thing. It's attacking while it can, while it still has the capabilities to. So there have been explosions in Dubai, Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, and others. The United States has said that already 3 American service members have been killed in action. So we already have 3 Americans dead over this completely discretionary war that we did not need to have, and most Americans did not want. So Israel, the UAE, everyone else, Iran attacks continue. They keep trying to strike. The IDF is apparently aiming at, quote, the heart of Tehran, which always goes well. I remember in history class in high school, when we were discussing dropping the bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I had the question, why not bomb Tokyo? I mean, that makes sense, right? That's where all the leadership is. And my teacher explained, and it's sound reasoning. It's like, well, then you have no one to surrender to, right? You have no control, you have no authority. We didn't want to kill the leadership. We wanted the leadership to bend the knee and end the freaking war. And that's why Tokyo was not targeted. So for me, this screams that they want instability. They don't want capitulation. They want instability. They want crisis. Because striking at a country's capital means you're not interested in negotiating anything. You're not interested in a peace treaty or a surrender of any kind. You don't want surrender. You want domination, which is also not what the rules of war would typically suggest. We used to beat people into submission, you know. Our goal was, eventually Hitler and Mussolini would have died at the hands of the Allies, but only after they surrendered their country, because only the leader can do that. So now if we keep striking and we just keep killing Ayatollah after Ayatollah, and we keep targeting general after general of the Israeli National Guard, we're going to end up in a situation where we just have a group of people, millions, 90 million people, with no leader. So there's no one to surrender to. This would lead to mass chaos. This is history repeating itself. The only thing I can, off the top of my head is the Native Americans. One of the tricks that our ancestors sadly used was they would sign a treaty with one Indian chief, one Native American chief. And then they would try to impose that treaty on all the other tribes. And the other tribes are like, we don't even know who this guy is. We didn't ally with him because there were numerous tribes, there were numerous regions, and the United States made no effort to get them to collectively get at the table and do that. They used it as a way to seize power and grab land. And that's what this looks like to me. This is colonialism 101. You kill the leadership so there are no leaders. What will eventually take place is there will be individual tribal factions and little mini fiefdoms everywhere that pop up, and no centralized authority to go after, to negotiate with, to surrender. And all that does is sow chaos and division, and it's going to be complete domination by the IDF and the American forces right there. And if that's your goal, I mean, that's colonialism 101. That is imperialism. We are sending an empire to take over Iran right now to destabilize the region. It's insane. And to think all of this right now can be done with airstrikes, with bombs, is also crazy. I mean, remember, the airstrikes are supposed to be the beginning of the war. You lob your missiles in and then you send in the troops after. As of right now, the United States has not made any mention of actually putting troops in to occupy the nation of Iran. At least in Iraq, as big a clusterfuck as that was, we severed the head of leadership. We went after Saddam Hussein's political party. We disbanded the military so that there was no leadership. But we were there to assume the mantle of leadership, of guardianship. Right or wrong, that was the plan. So there was someone in charge, and then we had to just elevate and kind of spoon feed and force feed the Iraqis into some version of democracy that is okay with the United States and Israel. But right now, that doesn't seem to be the plan. We're using targeted airstrikes to attempt to sever the head and kill leadership until there is no more leadership. But without anyone going in and actually taking over, the only thing we're creating is complete and total chaos. So even if your argument was, we want the oil of Iran, that's not going to happen if there's no centralized government. The individual fiefdoms and tribes will just fight over all of this. It will be neighborhood versus neighborhood. Everyone will be struggling to survive because at no point is a Trump administration going to send in food and aid to Iran. We're not even doing that with our allies right now. We killed U.S. aid because that was too big of a cost. And that was to allies. That was to countries that we were not at war with. We're certainly not going to do that here. And if Trump knows anything about Iraq, he knows it was the aftermath of the war that was the problem. So this is going to be a Trump war, and he didn't learn anything. Except, it's the occupation that drives the president's numbers down. So we're going to see that. Meanwhile, exactly what everyone predicted yesterday would happen is happening because Iran is of course, targeting oil tankers in the Straits of Hormuz. As we speak, there are several on fire. They are shooting at the ships there. They are firing everything they have everywhere. Because what else is the option? They tried peace. That didn't work. But 150 school children. And I know it's crazy, but we live in the United States where school children are the price of the Second Amendment. So I doubt most Americans are going to give a flying fuck how many school children we kill in the name of spreading democracy or ending terrorism or whatever label they want to put on it. School children are the price of doing business. Don't you see? That is the United States way. If we can kill our own school children for a piece of paper and a couple sentences in the Constitution, by all means, we can kill other people's school children for anything. So I find it really hard to believe that the majority of Americans give two flying shits about this. I went grocery shopping this morning, And as I'm walking through the aisles, there was a obvious nutcase on his phone talking to whomever, and he's talking about stuffed ballot boxes. And we don't need any of that Yankee bullshit down here. I just walked by. Obviously, I don't know who he's talking to. Hopefully, somebody trying to talk him down off his stupidity horse. But it's so stupid. The people that are most behind this seem to be the so-called followers of Jesus. And I'm thinking, did you ever read the Bible? Like, there is one thing that is true in the Bible that I actually believe wholeheartedly. Violence begets violence. I am not seeing turning the other cheek anywhere here. I'm not seeing an ending to anything. This isn't like Venezuela, where it was a one-night thing. We killed the leadership and then left. No, we're still ongoing. We're attacking. And now that American blood has been spilt, well, now you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. There's no amount of American children that are going to go to this war and die that will satisfy the regime, that will meet the cost of this war. And again, we don't know what the result is. There is no plan. For fuck's sake, the president yesterday put out a post, and I still can't believe that we are dealing with a president who primarily deals with the world via social media, who says he hopes the Iranian National Guard and the protest groups join forces to bring a democratic, peaceful Iran. And I don't know how crazy that sounds to me, because it has been the Iranian National Guard who has been killing all of these protesters over the last few weeks. Thousands of people have died protesting at the hands of the Iranian National Guard. That would be like saying ICE and Minnesotans need to join forces to bring about a socialist utopia in Minnesota. That's just not how it fucking works. These two groups hate each other, and we just removed leadership, and we don't know who's in charge or what their political game is. All I know is this: the 21st century has proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you are the leader of a nation and you have oil or you have plans to nationalize some of your resources, or you just want your people not to have to worry about bombs flying in from the United States, you'd better get yourself a goddamn nuclear bomb. Because I noticed that nobody mentions North Korea as part of the axis of evil anymore. That's gone. In fact, our president went ahead and had a nice little handshake with him last time around. I mean, tell me the truth. Yesterday doesn't happen if the Ayatollah has access to a nuclear weapon. The United States wouldn't risk it. In fact, I would argue Trump would be the type of person to say, oh, look at that plucky little nation. They were underdogs, and now they've got a nuke. And now they're back on top. I'm going to go shake that guy's hand. There would have been photo ops of the Ayatollah and Trump shaking hands on a fake peace agreement and love letters going back and forth, just like North Korea. Because Trump only respects one thing, and that is power. So if the Ayatollah had any, Trump would have bent over backwards to acquiesce to them, to bow at that. That's the only thing he respects. If Vladimir Zelensky had a nuclear bomb right now, Trump would be on his side. But since he doesn't, Trump is siding with Putin, who has nuclear bombs. Israel has nuclear bombs. Iran does not. Venezuela does not. And it's not just Donald Trump. This has been American foreign policy ever since 9/11. If you don't have a nuke, watch the fuck out. And I'm not entirely sure this prohibition of nuclear weapons is even worth it or working. We can argue that maybe it isn't a good thing that we limit nuclear weapons anymore. You know, I think of the sci-fi series Dune, and I don't know if they mention it in the recent movies, but in the books, there's always this idea that every house, every group, powerful group, has access to these nuclear weapons, these world-ending devices. And the idea is, yeah, you can go to war, but nobody crosses that line because everyone knows mutually assured destruction will destroy the whole universe before anyone, before we allow that to happen. So I know it's science fiction, but in modern sense, in the 21st century, the one thing we've learned is that nuclear weapons with everyone is safer than nuclear weapons where only a few of us have it. Iran would not be attacked today if they had a nuke. North Korea has no worry about being attacked because they have a nuke. South Korea has access to nukes. Right now, if I'm Japan, I'm thinking I probably should get a nuke. China has a nuke. And my rationale for this is very simple. When two nuclear-powered countries, start war, they don't really. Like, India and Pakistan both have access to nuclear weapons, but they're not really at, war. They have little skirmishes. Sure, there's a body count. There are people dying. It is a horrific thing, but it's not a full-scale war. It's not total war. Because both sides know if they cross a line, nuclear weapons become on the table, and once they're on the table, they're not coming off. And everyone on the world agrees, India, Pakistan, yeah, you guys can fuck around, but please don't find out. Because if one of you launches a nuke, everyone else on the planet has access to satellites, and is going to see that, and there's going to create chaos. And once one person opens that box, we don't know if we can put it back in. So there is a lot of moderating influence to India and Pakistan. If those two are fighting, the whole world instantly cares and instantly becomes involved. If Ukraine had nuclear weapons right now, what would be happening is that all the world's powers would be focused on Putin and Zelensky, trying to tell them, please, don't cross that line. Stop. You can have your little skirmishes, but don't cross that line. Even China and the United States, we have the Philippines, kind of a vassal state for us. And even though we have nukes and China has nukes, even our vassal states, no, don't cross that line. There will be instances where China and the Philippines fuck with each other, and you'll hear about one naval vessel versus another, and they're shining lights in the pilot's eyes and trying to shoot sound waves or crap at them to get them to throw up that never work. And you hear about that stuff. They're shining lasers to try to blind someone or something. But they know, don't shoot. For the love of God, don't shoot. Even our vassal states know better than to cross that line. It doesn't end war. I'm not suggesting everyone having a nuke would be peaceful. There would still be wars, but everyone would have a vested interest in making sure that no one crosses a line. No one goes too far. No one tries regime change anymore. It's like, yeah, we get it. People are going to fight over, from the outside, what seems very stupid. But they won't cross that line. So I'm currently thinking, you know what? If I'm president of a country and I think, oh shit, I might have oil, I'm getting a nuke. If I'm president of a country who just, right now I'm democratically elected, I have no designs on the world stage, I am not expansionist whatsoever, but you know what? I don't want the United States pointing the finger at me over some bullshit and coming in here because they can. So I'd better go ahead and get a nuke. I don't care who it is. Jamaica should get a nuke. Cuba should get a nuke. Everyone should be trying to acquire nukes as fast as possible right now because that is the precedent we have set. If you don't have one, the United States can unilaterally decide to regime change, to blow you up, to kill you. If you do have one, you get pretty much left the fuck alone. Yeah, there'll still be sanctions. North Korea is not open to the world. Some of that's by choice, their choice. But, nobody messes with them. They're little skirmishes, every now and then North and South Korea kind of play games just like everyone else, but no one does anything about it. So I'm thinking maybe a nuclear world where everybody has access to at least one is probably safer than what we have now. Because if Iran has a nuke, 150 school children aren't dead today. 150 girls are not dead. That is a crime against humanity. And for what? For what? All these people say, oh, Iran had it coming, and they've been saying death to Iran or death to America forever. Who cares? Really? Who cares? This doesn't hurt anyone if they say death to America. There are a lot of memes out there right now on the left of people who are like, I'm saving a special glass of champagne when a certain you-know-who kicks the bucket. No one sends police at our door. Nobody says we need to go to jail for that. There are people posting 8647. Doesn't mean they're actually calling for it. Freedom of speech for, Americans. We can say 8647. In fact, I say 8647 almost every chance I get. Go ahead, 8647. Doesn't matter. Freedom of speech. But for some reason, somebody over in another country says death to America, death to imperialism, death to the West, because imperialism, the West, and America keep fucking bombing them. And we have the audacity to say, how dare you say that? I mean, sure, we killed your whole family and we keep your economy in the shits, and we won't send aid to you when, measles outbreaks happens, even though we have access to a vaccine. But that's no reason to call for our death. We didn't do that. But it hurts common Americans' social sensibilities to hear death to America, when in reality they're saying death to the imperialist bullshit. Stop it. Stop fucking with us. They want death to the West because the West right now means bombs in their backyard, and we're proving it. We're proving it. If today Iran had a mass protest, and I'm sure there is probably video footage somewhere of there being a march down the streets and they're burning American flags and they're saying death to America, do you really have the audacity to go ahead and look at them and say, how dare you? Today? The parents of those children right now who are dead, if they say death to America, are you really going to clutch your pearls and be like, you know what, I'm glad your daughter's dead? No, they have reason to, just like if anyone killed your kids. If a cop in America kills your son tomorrow, is it uncouth of you to be like, fuck pigs? If some country actually invades and bombs someone and it's in your neighborhood, would it be in poor judgment for you to be like, you know what, fuck them, I hope they die? No, that is a normal, natural human response to the situation. If you get bombed, like, yes, of course. Fuck those people. They're bombing my neighborhood. They're killing my friends and family. And yet they also have the audacity to tell me that I need to watch what I say about them? I'm sorry, that's not how the world works. It isn't. They can say death to America all the fuck they want for all I care. We've been fucking with them for decades. Learn the history of Iran before you go judging them, for fuck's sake. All they did was have the audacity, again, several decades ago, to elect a president who said our oil fields aren't for fucking sale. So we engineered a goddamn coup to put a king in that they called the Shah, who was a belligerent asshole, stole all the money from the people, lived high on the hog, starved them all. And then, when the people rose up and put what is the current regime in power, when they seized our embassy there, and there's a movie about this, Argo. Go ahead, watch Argo. You'll see exactly what happened there. But because that happened, we here in the West are somehow insulted by the Iranians? For what? We're the ones who keep fucking with them. They had the audacity to be like, Americans, get the fuck out. And yeah, they put in a regime that is religious zealots and a bunch of assholes. But you know what? Self-determination applies no matter who you are or what you choose. I believe everyone on this earth has the choice, should have the choice, the right to choose their own form of government. And yeah, if it's bad, tough shit, the rest of the world just has to deal with it. But it's not the people's fault. And it's not the people's fault here in Iran. If we had waited just a few more years, who knows what would have happened? Who knows what tomorrow will bring? Iran could have fallen on its own. And maybe a democracy rises in its place. But now we won't have that choice. Again, the fire in the building is the Americans dropping bombs, not the Iranian regime. No one in Iran today is fighting the Iranian National Guard. They're helping them. Because they're all in the same boat now. They're all getting bombed. We are bombing children and Iranian soldiers equally. You know what that means? My enemy is not that soldier anymore. My enemy is who's lobbing these missiles at me. This is all so dumb and stupid. So I really don't care. I don't about all these people, the MAGA right, screaming about, this is Iran's fault and they brought it on themselves. I'm like, y'all need to open a fucking history book and learn who you're talking about. This stuff goes back 100 years or more. This is a situation where the West, specifically the United States, has put its thumb on the scale of what's going on in the Middle East, and the people are fucking tired of it. And yeah, they chose a shit regime. I'm sorry, it happens. But we're the ones who caused it. Every domino leads to something else. Again, Osama bin Laden didn't just wake up one day and decide, I'm gonna do 9/11. Osama bin Laden had a reason. Was it a fucked up reason? Maybe. I don't know. But he had reasons. And mostly it was because we kept fucking with his country. We kept putting our thumb on influence in his country. He didn't believe he was free, so he attacked his oppressors. Do I agree with it? No, but I understand it. I mean, it's always so stupid. Again, even the people who are like, Israel has a right to defend itself against the Palestinians that live inside of Gaza and the West Bank. And I'm like, you idiots, all of you. If any of you had to live under the conditions of Palestinians in Israel right now, you would be doing the same thing. You would. I'm sorry. If the opposition party, whatever party you hate, Republican or Democrat, suddenly declared you a second-class citizen because of who you voted for, and said, no, you don't have any rights, and you have to live here, and you have to live in this spot in squalor with no food and no medicine, in poverty, and oh, by the way, this massive wall is going to be built around you with guns and turrets, and they're going to be soldiers who can kill you with impunity and kill your children with impunity, and there's no recourse you can take, and God forbid you decide to take the matter into your own hands, because not only will we kill you, we'll start a war inside your neighborhood, and we'll fucking kill everyone in your neighborhood because you decided to stand up. You have to just sit there and take it. You're telling me you wouldn't be the same as a Palestinian today? You're telling me that if there was an election inside Gaza and you're like, you know what? Democracy's not working for this right now, man. I am literally oppressed. I am not just not getting my way. I am starving, and it's intentional. Fuck it, I'm voting for Hamas. At least they're going to do something about it. Like, the audacity of all of us here at home to sit here and be like, I don't see why they have to choose violence all the time. Can't they just talk? I'm sure they'd love to talk if the other side had fucking listened for 2 seconds. But that's not how it works. That's not how it's ever worked over there. But everyone wants to just assume everything. No one thinks that other people think differently than them. Now, I'm all for thinking differently, but at the end of the day, I also know humans are human beings. And I'll tell you this, if an oppressive force killed my family, I'm not going to just sit there and take it. Me and some friends of mine are like, you know what? These fuckers are lucky we have families. Seriously. I am surprised by the restraint of people in Minneapolis and Los Angeles and everywhere else ICE is gone in Chicago. Because you know the administration's just waiting. They want their Reichstag fire. In case you don't know, a fire was started that burned down the German parliament all those years ago. Supposedly by a communist. Hitler used that to seize total power, suspend the Constitution of Germany, and say that communists and the opposition party were outlawed and only the Nazi party could exist, granting him total power. I'm pretty sure that's what ICE's true mission is here in the United States. It isn't about immigration. I mean, sure, I think Stephen Miller believes it's about immigration, and he's just like, yeah, get all these brown people out of here. But I think the true, real mission of ICE is to provoke anyone, especially someone they can definitely 100% pin. Oh yeah, that guy there, he's a leftist. He's a Democrat. If anyone starts sniping at them, literally fighting back, if they go into one of these cities and it does become a war zone because the people there are just like, we're not going to take this lying down, that is when the Constitution will be suspended. That is when martial law will be declared, and that is when Trump and the Republicans will be the only party allowed. Because what will happen is they'll say, oh, a Democrat did this. Oh, Democrats are Antifa. They're a terrorist organization. They are now outlawed. Everyone who's a Democrat's under, investigation, and we're going to go shut down all their funding, and we're going to arrest all Democrats. And that's the problem. And I'm worried that's going to happen. And then all these people will suddenly be like, the Palestinians, Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, all these countries, all these people, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, I guess. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again tomorrow.